I was in a mental hospital, and I don't want to talk about really what led up to me being here. And to be honest with you guys, the reason that I'm making this video was because I was treated horrible here. And I never stood up for myself. And I remember, like, I've been so angry at myself for not standing up for myself during that time, even though, like, I was going through it. So, like, obviously you're just not gonna give a fuck. I'm here because I want to make my peace with it. You know, I want to be able to, like, just be like, okay, like, I went through this, like, it's okay, you know, like, I'm okay now. But I also want to, like, do this video so I can reclaim back my voice, reclaim back standing up for myself, even if it's 2 years later, even if this doesn't matter anymore. I'm doing it really for myself. So I really don't expect people to comment. Like, I really rather people not comment. Like, don't comment, don't reach out to me. Like, this is just something that I'm doing because I need to talk about it. And I just want to put it out there. Like, I just want people to listen, really. I don't want anything else. So I guess I'll talk about my experience. I was admitted here September 15, 2018. I was brought here by 2 people. Well, I was brought here because they were concerned for me. But the good thing about it is that I was able to, like, sign all the paperwork as if I myself voluntarily like I came here because of me, and like I'm admitting myself in. Basically, that's how I signed all the paperwork, which is a good thing because then it meant that I could leave whenever I wanted. So I remember the first day, right? We're in the waiting area. I'm filling out all the paperwork. I remember there's a cop with a girl who looks about 13 who's arrested, and immediately we're just like, okay. And then my friend who was with me at the time, she's like I don't have a good feeling about this place. I'm like, well, I gotta be here now, so you know. And then I filled out all the paperwork or whatever. So then they took us to another waiting area. So this waiting area was specifically for the patients who were waiting to get a room, waiting to get their bed, right? But I wanted, like, the people who came with me to come with me, so we all ended up going to this next waiting area. And there, before we got to the next waiting area, they took all my belongings, my personal belongings, my laptop, my phone, everything. I think they also took the people who were with me their phones. I think they took their stuff too. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I remember we go in here, right? We sit down, and this waiting area is full of people, right? And it's full of patients who are, like, I guess, like, it's rehab for some people, right? So people who are fighting with addiction, like having hella withdrawals, people with all type of different mental, like, issues, right? So it's like all in one, like, not just depression, it's like everything. I guess everything you can think of, all mixed in one waiting area. So people were acting strange, people were talking a certain way. Like, it was very, like, it was kind of, like, scary, in a way, kind of, like, funny, because some people were just acting, like, off the wall, right? Which now it's not funny now, because now you like, oh, like, damn, they were going through some shit, right? So I remember, yeah, we were just sitting there, and we sat there for hours, me and these persons. We sat there, and I think we were there for about 5 hours, and it was getting late. So I told them, I'm like, you guys should leave. You know, like, I'm here now, I'm in a safe place. You should leave. I'll keep you updated. Well, you guys could call the hospital, because, you know, I didn't have my phone to get updated and stuff. So, you know, I think they stayed with me about an hour more, and then they decided to leave. So then I stayed there on my own. So I'm sitting there for more hours. And I remember just, like, waiting and waiting and waiting. And we remember, like, so, like, when the people who were with me were there, they kept asking like, when is she gonna get like a room and stuff, and they're like, well, we're still waiting on somebody to discharge, or we're just, you know, we're it's just gonna be a little bit, like a little while longer. And then so yeah, after they left and stuff, I just waited more. And then like literally everybody, that room was full when we came in, and then it came to just me being all by myself. I slept in the waiting area because they didn't have a room for me. They didn't have a bed for me. So I literally slept with no blanket, with nothing, like just in this like couch chair thing. So I was in a waiting area for over 24 hours. And I remember like I would just zone out, in and out, right? So just like start crying randomly, and then like, you know, because I was going through it, and I just remember like saying like, hey, like, can I be transferred somewhere else? And they were like, oh yeah, we're looking into that right now. You know, like they would just lie their asses off, basically. They were just waiting for somebody to leave so I could, you know, be there. So we it's fine. It finally comes time for me to get the bed, right? I suck at having this type of conversations because it's something that's very like hard for me to talk about. So I like tend to say a lot, or just like, I don't know. Anyways, so I finally get a room. So the nurse is walking me up to the unit that I was gonna stay in. And it was already nighttime, so I know it was, that's how I know it was there over 24 hours, because by the time I got a room, like it was time to go to sleep again, and I slept in the waiting area previously. So yeah, so I went to my room, and the nurse goes, you can't close the door, it has to be half like open. And then there was a girl sleeping there already, so I remember I just laid down, and there was another girl, a patient, who was walking around the entire unit like humming this song. It was like this type of thing you see in scary movies, right? Yeah, so I didn't get sleep that night, so I ended up skipping breakfast, and then I woke up, and I just stayed awake, laying there until they would call us to go to lunch or stuff. So they also would call us to like take our medications. So they would give the patients there like a pill in the morning, a pill at night, and their prescription, right? So it was like my first, like technically my first day there, right? Now that I had a room, and I was just like, well, what are these pills for? I don't remember what they told me, to be honest. But I remember them saying like, you don't have to take them, you can refuse to take them if you want to. And I'm like, okay, well, I haven't spoken to a psychiatrist, so I'm not gonna take them. I'm like, but also I don't have my medication, because I was on antidepressants, right? So I'm like, I don't have my medication, so like, can I speak to a psychiatrist about, you know? And so the psychiatrist wasn't in the hospital. He had to like it had to be a video call through this iPad, and that's how he prescribed me a different type of antidepressant. They told me to take those, right? So I remember like thinking that the whole morning pill and the night pill was like weird to me, so all I did was take my own prescription, and I would say no to the other ones because I just didn't feel right. Anyway, so I was there for about 5 days, and sadly there was only one day a week where visitors were allowed, and I think I was admitted right like the day after, not that day. So I had to wait a whole week before anybody could visit me, so I was just basically there by myself, right? With no like outside contact of any kind. And then like the unit I was in, there was nobody who was very like I guess was going through the same thing I was. I'm sure some of them were, but they had other different like issues. Like there was a lot of people who were talking to themselves. There were a lot of different like older adults. I remember there was a girl who had seizures all the time, and basically like, well, first the nurses there were really, really rude. They were so rude. They wouldn't really treat people with respect. They didn't treat us with respect. But I remember like the people who had it worse, like the girl who had seizures and stuff, like they didn't really care, or like they looked like they didn't know what they were doing. Like they looked so relieved when she was like done having a seizure. Like it was just like a thing. But I remember like they used to yell at the patients. They used to talk really rude to them. I didn't want to be there after the first day. I immediately was like, I have to leave. And you know, I told them like, hey, I have to go, like I want to go. And they would talk to me like I was stupid. Like they would talk down on you basically. So what they said was, well, you can't leave until the psychiatrist approves that you're able to leave, like you're okay to leave, you know. And I'm just like, okay, so like when can I see the psychiatrist? Because I'm thinking, you know, like we're gonna talk on FaceTime again. He's like, oh well, he'll be here tomorrow, so you can talk to him tomorrow. I'm like, okay. So I remember like that's basically what they told me for about 3 days. Like, oh, like, you know, like, no, you can't like do a video call. He has to come in. Like, you know, they would come up with different excuses every day. But it's what bothered me the most was that it was a mental hospital, right, where people need help, like rehab and stuff. And there was like no therapist, there was no like counselors. What we did 90% of the time was sit and watch TV. That's all we did. And that consisted of like everything, like all day. That's all that we did all day was just sit in front of a fucking screen and watch TV. Not even like any programs that were like beneficial to your mental health. No, it was like old shows, like I don't know, it was stupid. But like that's all we did. And there was people who were there for months, and this is like that's how they live. They just sit and watch TV, and that's it. Like that's the close to you getting help, is sitting in front of a fucking screen. And I remember that this one time, right, I went and had lunch. So this particular time, another unit joined us at the same lunch hour. So I saw this guy who was around my age, or so it seemed like. So I sat next to him because I'm like, okay, like finally somebody who looks like my age, you know, like somebody I could probably talk to or relate to, or you know. So I remember I sat there and I was like eating, and I was just like, hey, like how long have you been here? And he goes, I've been here for 2 months. And I was just like, oh, I'm like, how are you liking it? He's like, I hate it here. He's like, but they don't let me leave. And I was just like, well, how did you end up here? He goes, to be honest with you, he's like, I really wasn't suicidal. He's like, I was just acting like it. And then I got arrested. So that's how I got here. Which something like he told me more to his story, but I don't remember everything because I was, you know, going through it too. My memory is very like, it goes in and out. It's even like when I talk about like what I do remember from this hospital, like it's in and out, just because it was very traumatizing to me, like very, very like so. But I remember that he told me, he's like, you have to take he's like, just cooperate with everything they tell you, like take the pills, right? He's like, do they give you, like he was asking, he's like, do they give you like a morning medicine and like at the one at night? And I was just like, yeah, they do. And he's like, you have to take them, if not, like they're not gonna let you go, like you have to cooperate. He's like, that's the only way you can get out of here. You can't like say no to certain things, you know. And I was just like, damn, you know. So but I was like, I'm here like voluntarily, so they shouldn't hold that against me, you know, like that's weird. But like I just felt horrible. Like I felt so bad for the rest of the people who have been there longer than I have. I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And like, yeah, like I just remember like patients, you know, like some people were really out of it, like which like they really needed assistance with stuff, like, you know, like they just really needed help, and the nurses would just like tell you sit down, go back and watch TV. Like I really don't feel like we were patients. I feel like we were just treated like cattle, like animals, like, you know, like that's really how I felt. So like, I obviously hit rock bottom, which is why I was here in the first place. And to be honest, I didn't think that I could feel worse. I didn't think I could hate myself any more than I did. I didn't think I could want to die any more than I did. But being here pushed it. Yeah. Anyway, after insisting over and over again, I was finally released on the 5th day. And I remember, like, my friend came and picked me up, just grabbed all my stuff. By the way, like, in order for me to get out, I had to lie my ass out of there. Like, I had to be like, yeah, I'm okay now, I'm ready to live my life, like, yeah, I'm in school, I have an education, like, yep. Lied my ass through the whole thing because I wanted to get out of there so bad. My friend comes to pick me up, you know, like, I get my stuff, I rush, right? And, you know, I get in the car and I'm just like, hey, like, you know, like, I remember, like, seeing the outside again felt good and stuff. And I didn't really want to talk about my experience. I remember crying, I think, and then just saying, like, I never want to come back here. So, what's funny is, not so funny, but I ended up leaving my laptop here because they placed my laptop in a different area. I don't know why. So I'm like, fuck, I have to come back. So I avoided it for 2 months. And then somebody told me, like, you need to go get your laptop. Like, that belongs to you, not to them. Go get your laptop. And I remember, like, okay, I should get it. So I borrowed my friend's car, drove over here, and came and asked them for my laptop. And they were like, they're like, oh, the person who handles, like, who stores away the electronics already left for the day. He's the only one with the key, so you're gonna have to come back another day. You know, and they were also rude, right? I don't know why the fuck they're so rude here. Like, I understand, you know, like, it's a heavy place and you kind of have to be very, like, assertive with people, but there's a difference between being assertive and being rude. Like, they were fucking rude, like, downright rude. And I remember being so triggered too because I was just like, it's my laptop, like, you can't, like, do you guys not have a master key? Like that just sounded stupid to me because they didn't even bother to check. They just made a call. They're like, oh, he's not there, nobody else can get it, whatever. So I remember leaving. I was so mad, I was so frustrated, and I just remember crying. So then another month passed, and it was I dropped out of school because I couldn't do school anymore, right? I was just, everything was going to shit. And so it was around December, and I decided that I was gonna drop out of school and I was gonna head back home, back to Detroit. So but I remembered, like, oh, my laptop is still there, you know? And to be honest, like, the only reason that I came back and got my laptop was because that laptop was a gift, and it was very expensive. Like, it was expensive. It was a gift that I got specifically for school, you know? So if I would have bought that with my own money, I think I would have just been like, fuck the laptop, keep the laptop, you know? But I felt like, you know, like, this is what I use for school, and, like, somebody gave it to me for school. So there I go, back again. So my friend drove me this time. And I remember, like, as soon as I was, like, coming into the parking lot, like, I could just feel a pit in my stomach. And my anxiety was just through the roof. Like, I was just, like, so anxious. surprisingly, they were nice to me that time, and they gave me my laptop, because I had called previously too. I was like, hey, like, I'm not gonna go again if I'm not gonna get my laptop. Like, I'm not gonna come here like 5 more times and get triggered every single time, you know. Like, I was so scared to come back. I was so scared to be in like the parking lot, to be in the fucking waiting area. Like, that was so scary. And so I got it, and I just remember like leaving, crying again. And now it brings us to the third time that I come back. But this time it's because I need to be okay with the fact that I was in here. Right. What happened happened. I'm still alive today, you know, so I was strong enough to get through that. And it took me forever to fully talk about it, but I deserve closure. I deserve to let go of the trauma, and just drive off one last time, right? So this is my story. Thank you for listening.